Welcome back, everyone, to the GOATcast podcast. I am CW, and today we continue our series titled 96 Bulls Versus. If you didn't catch the last two videos in this series, we discussed the 96 Bulls against the 2001 Los Angeles Lakers and the 2003 San Antonio Spurs. So stay until the end so you can check out the playlist to get the breakdown on how I'd see a 7-game series going between the Bulls and those teams. So today we continue the series with another team from the 2000s, a super team that some may say started the trend of all-star level stars linking up, and that team is of course the 2008 Boston Celtics. The 96 Bulls, as we know, is one of the greatest teams in NBA history. In fact, I typed in greatest NBA teams of all time in ChatGPT, and as you can see, even AI believes that team is the greatest one of all time. Meanwhile, Boston and their big three of Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen became the team in the Eastern Conference. Some feeling they were assembled as the ultimate roadblock for LeBron James, but that's a story for another time. So let's break this down. The 96 Bulls versus the 08 Celtics. But first, if you enjoy these breakdowns and analysis, please like and subscribe to the channel. It just helps the channel grow as we are in the hunt for 500 subs. It keeps the channel moving forward. Also, if you haven't checked it out, do you think Tim Duncan is a tier higher than LeBron? Check out my analysis. All right, now the 96 Bulls versus the 08 Celtics. The 2008 Boston Celtics were the top team in the Eastern Conference in 2008. After a disastrous 07 season, the Celtics rebuilt themselves in a big way by bringing in blockbuster all-stars Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett. In the 2008 NBA playoffs, the Celtics were able to take down the Joe Johnson Atlanta Hawks, grinding out LeBron and his Cleveland Cavs, as well as the Chauncey Billups, Rasheed Wallace Detroit Pistons on their way to winning the 08 Finals over the Kobe Bryant, Pau Gasol Los Angeles Lakers. This team had an absolute squad with a dominant starting five, and the de facto leader Paul Pierce was his all-star and Hall of Fame self, averaging 21.8 points per game, 4.5 rebounds per game, and 6.3 assists per game en route to his first championship ring. Garnett added 18.2 points per game and 13 rebounds, while Ray Allen also chipped in 20.3 points per game. The 96 Chicago Bulls we've talked about before, but we'll discuss again. This was Jordan's first full season back after his first retirement after the 93 season. The Bulls in 96 ran through the Eastern Conference and won number 4 from Mike and crew, where they were able to overpower a very respectable Sean Kemp and Gary Payton Seattle Supersonic team, or for you younger cats, the now Oklahoma City Thunder. In those playoffs, Jordan erupted to average 31 points, with Scotty, Rodman, Kukoc, among others, aiding the effort where needed. This team is truly historic in how well it was put together and was must-watch TV in 1996. So in a highly anticipated 7-game series, who would win? The 2008 Boston Celtics had the 11th best offense in the league that year, averaging 100.5 points per game. Their defense, though, was tough as they were the second best in the NBA, with their opponents averaging 90.3 points per game. Somewhat surprising offensively, as that Celtics team had a really solid group of scorers on that team, whether in the starting five or from the bench. However, as we can see, their bread and butter was on the defensive end. Meanwhile, as we've shown before, the 96 Chicago Bulls had the best offense of the season, averaging 105.2 a game. On defense, they were the third best that year, only allowing other teams 92.9 points per game. Pretty solid on both ends of the floor. This series looks like it would likely be won by the team that could stifle the other the most. Now let's talk about the team's advantages. First, the Celtics, with the additions of Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen mixed in with some key role players in Glenn Davis, P.J. Brown, Tony Allen, James Posey, as well as the continued rise of young Rajon Rondo, their leaders on and off the court, Paul Pierce and Doc Rivers, respectively, got the Celtics squad in title contention. With their strong suit being defense, they mixed in some competent shooters in Ray Allen, Eddie House, and even James Posey to complement their rough defenders. So the advantages are prime big three, Pierce, Garnett, and Ray Allen, of course. Great defense. And third, toughness. You had guys like Kevin Garnett, P.J. Brown, Rajon Rondo, Kendrick Perkins, Tony Allen, and Leon Powe, all guys that might not be known by most, but were really tough defenders back in 08. As for the Bulls, this team was finally whole again after Michael Jordan's first foray into retirement. Pippen was in his full prime, while Rodman honed in on his rebounding and toughness even more. Kukoc had finally become comfortable with the American game and was a threat on the floor. Adding Phil Jackson still at the helm, plus solid role players like Steve Kerr and Luke Longley, and some solid defense from Ron Harper, you had a team that we could realistically point out quite a few advantages. But for this series, they are exceptional defense once again. Of course, they had the GOAT, Michael Jordan, and thirdly, I would say coaching. Yes, I know Doc was able to beat Phil, but this team was different with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen at the forefront. So the X factors. What would be the X factor for the Celtics? I think the bench. Here's just a few of the names coming off the bench for that Celtics team: Tony Allen, Glenn Big Baby Davis, PJ Brown, Eddie House, James Posey, and Leon Poe. Some of those names might not be household names everyone would know, but if you watch the NBA throughout the late 2000s and early 2010s, those are some names you should definitely be familiar with. Based on those names, it's no wonder why the '08 Celtics had such great defensive stats. With tough, hard-nosed defenders like Allen, PJ Brown, and Poe, couple that with guys that could get going offensively in Glenn Davis, Eddie House, and Posey, you have a bench that could easily run up the score while keeping Chicago from putting points on the board. We all know what the big three, along with Rondo and Kendrick Perkins, are going to do, but it's these guys they would really need to step up if they want to steal games from one of the best offensive teams of that era. So the Bulls' X factor against these 2008 Celtics would be Scottie Pippen. Pippen's importance in a series with those Celtics would be paramount. You have to be a huge factor on both sides of the ball. With the '08 Celtics having solid wing play from 1 through 3 and then mid-range threats from bigs like Garnett and Big Baby, the Bulls would need an all-hands-on-deck mentality on defense. And with Pippen being one of their more important defensive pieces, while Harper and Jordan will likely share duty on keeping Ray Allen at bay, Pippen would have to chase a prime Paul Pierce who could light up a box score from multiple places on the court. He'd also likely have to take on KG at points, as Garnett, in my opinion, would be a big problem for Dennis Rodman to deal with for 4 quarters. Not only defensively, though, Scottie would need to be a scorer and look for his opportunities to attack against a very tough defense that can throw some old school style bigs to really make it tough to score in the paint. So anytime Jordan wasn't on the floor or was being occupied by Tony or Ray Allen, Scottie would have to be aggressive and be much more than Jordan's Robin, but be on par with the GOAT when it comes to the scoring load. So who wins? In my opinion, this could go 2 different ways in a 7-game series. Home court advantage really isn't a thing to me when you have 2 championship caliber teams. Coaching here would be somewhat of a factor, as I believe Bulls Field would have enough chess pieces to give Doc Rivers and the Celtics fits. So in reality, this could either be a nip-tuck long series or a very short sweep. I'm going mostly with the latter and giving the '96 Bulls a gentleman's sweep and defeating the 2008 Boston Celtics 4-1. While I would give the nod that the Celtics bench was probably slightly better than the '96 Bulls bench, I think in a case where you have 2 defensive giants, it all comes down to offense, and I believe offensively, that Bulls team is just too good for the Celtics to completely shut down. Also, as good as the Celtics were, that 11th overall in offense tells you all you need to know. They weren't lighting it up at times, and while they had a few gunners, they could go cold. But players like Rajon Rondo, Tony Allen, and Kendrick Perkins playing big minutes, those are guys much more notable for their defense and role play than their scoring. I think Mike would be too much for Ray Allen to deal with, so the Celtics would either have to sacrifice scoring for defense or vice versa. Pippen would match up really well with Pierce too, but I could see Garnett eating good at times against Rodman as long as he stayed cool, calm, and collected. So what about you guys? Do you agree or disagree? Do you think it could go 7, or could the Bulls sweep them? Let me know in the comments section. Since this will be the last installment of the 2000s, I'll be starting the '96 Bulls versus the 2010s in a week or 2. So be ready for the '96 Bulls versus the 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers. Also, if you want to ascend to GOAT status like number 23, please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps out the channel and keeps things moving. The road to 500 subscribers is in full effect, and I really appreciate everyone that has been a part of the GOATcast podcast thus far. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll be back soon with more content. Thank you.